Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be taking a look at a different version of an Aegis deck that's currently being procced around just a little bit. It's, you know, more amulet based, I guess. So you're pushing more to proc the amulets with Healing Prayer and the Hollow Dogmas, along with things like Acolyte's Light to act as an extra clear material, Monk Purification for the 2 Mystic Waters, which are just great healing techs, along with a little bit more healing in the deck, just to survive past those blood turns, I assume. And it works pretty damn well. The extra banishments are probably not quite as good as the previous Aegis deck in my opinion, but I haven't had enough playtesting with it to decide whether that is true or not. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and we'll get right into the matches. Okay, so game 1, we have Sword. Sword has recently been dropped, as of making this video, has recently been dropped down a tier. So it's no longer in the tier 1 bracket, it's in the tier 2 bracket from most tier lists. So it's not the best meta deck at the moment. Blood is still broken as fuck apparently, according to tier lists. And other than that, there isn't too much to say regarding the tier list. They haven't really changed too much since I last looked at them. So we open with a 1-drop, pretty standard. Pull into those 2-drop ranges quite nicely. With Sword, you want to remove followers as early as possible. The sooner you remove things, the easier it is to deal with the board. We do see the Goblin Leader get dropped. A little bit of a pain, but not impossible to deal with. So the optimal thing for this deck is to definitely make sure that Snow White is an opener card as much as you can. In this kind of matchup, I was unfortunate and wasn't able to pull it off as early as I would have wanted it, and had to rely on a little RNG here to try and pull off this Tribunal, which fortunately does hit that 5/5 right there, so that ends up being quite nice. So we see them fill the board. We're pretty much just got to hold out until we can drop a bigger turn. If we can manage that, we're in a pretty nice spot. So we're going to the Radiance Angel, going for that extra draw proc, and luckily we do get the Decree, which is an amazing turn 6 play against Sword. So we've got Princess soon, after we managed to decree this board pretty nicely. And they didn't even use Albert to go face, which would have been a much better play. So we get a free board clear, and the potential to blow up next turn with that Tribunal there. So they do go for the extra board summon though, pulling out the Quick Blader, proccing a 4 summon board again, which is a pain in the ass, but I've got plenty of stuff to deal with that at this point. And we happen to draw another Decree, so we just clear it off and drop our Sacred, which I think closes the game. I don't believe they continue on much past this point. And they don't, so that will be game 1. Alright, so we have game 2. It's Haven vs Haven. This video is actually a pretty good meta representation with the decks that I end up versing, so it's not too bad overall. We do have a pretty crappy hand. Drawing both Decrees and a Heavenly Aegis against Haven probably isn't the best thing to draw. The unfortunate part of this matchup, though, is that I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm going second, which is a lot harder to do when you've got a mirror match against Haven, because, you know, Aegis wants to be dropped on turn 9, and if they drop theirs first, usually you're at a disadvantage. So they don't play anything turn 1 or turn 2. We get a free turn 2 play, which isn't too bad at all. We can play out that Beast Colaria, be able to push out probably the 3 or 2 drops depending on how we want to play the next turn. Which, since we are going second, an easy push out for the Beast Call is not too bad, because we can use the Healing Prayer along with the 1-cost Beast Call to drop that out. So this will give us the option to trade our 4/4, which will become a 6/6 on Evolve, into that Grimnir there. And just ping 2 damage to face while leaving up the 4/4. If they want to force the evolve here, I get kind of an advantage out of it. But they go for Tin Soldier, which is a much better play. Luckily we do have our own advantages here with the cards we've got. The Acolyte's Light is a really nice clear for things if you need to, especially against Shadow. So we just drop our hair, pull out our Tin Soldier, and we just clear it off this way. Just kind of hit them in the face and then use the Tin Soldier as our beat stick. It tends to be how I deal with things when I'm using Tin Soldier a lot of the time. I find the 3 damage to face is usually a lot better than anything else. So they do Decree, wasting their entire turn. We don't really have much to play, which is kind of unfortunate, so we do just go for the Radiance, mainly for the draw here. We didn't need the healing against Haven, fortunately. Not at this point, anyway. And as long as we can control the board up to turn 9, we should be able to hopefully beat them out with our Aegis. But they do go for that healing. But the Acolyte's Light makes short work of that card, along with Snow White finally getting to be played. So our opponent's hand, our biggest risk is that their Aegis would come out first. So to deal with that, the best idea is to try and whittle them down by keeping your health high. If you can do that, usually your Aegis, even if it's coming second, can beat them down quick enough. Especially when you have something like Grimnir in hand, which can just proc that 4 damage. And going into turn 9, they definitely had Aegis. Them saving the evolve and setting up for it was just too obvious. Luckily with ours, we're able to kill that 4-5 with our Aegis and then pretty much just deal 1 damage, proccing them down to 14, which is within range of a War Cyclone Aegis hit. Plus we also get that 4-5, which needs to be dealt with. So this is the one kind of situation where you're actually able to win off going second with Aegis. Being able to hit them in the face. So the worst case would be a ward. Most wards though are pretty easy to kill with the Grimnir, as you'll probably see here in a moment. See, the Heavily Hound only has 4 health. Very easy to deal with. Most Haven wards are around the 4 health mark unless they're using Elena, in which case usually you don't see much Aegis in those sort of decks. So we deal the 4 damage, ram them for 10, and that's a clean win. So our final matchup is against Blood. Probably the pinnacle of the meta right now, and Haven does a pretty good job at countering it for the most part. As always, I will leave the deck list for this deck in the description below, so make sure to check that out to find the deck, along with any sources for decks are always in the description as well. While I may not credit everyone in videos, just because I don't know who to credit sometimes, I will leave the source for where I found the deck in most cases in the description if I have a source. So we have Beast Coloria, pretty simple 2-drop. They do go for the Actress. Actress is a really strong card in neutral classes. That extra +1/+1 on the evolve is just a crazy advantage to give your board, especially when you can follow it up with pretty standard plays all the way through. Luckily we do get our Banish, which lets us play both Princess and kill off this 2/2 Actress, while keeping most of the stuff we need to deal with things. So we've got the Goblin Mage, which some Blood decks are still running, some aren't. It's a pretty good drop. It does allow you to pull those the Bahamut before 5, which is a good option. So we see the healing just for the draw. I tend to use Radiance Angels in that way in these matchups. If I don't have anything else to play, Radiance Angels good played for draw. Unfortunately, they did play that on turn 5, which is a pain, obviously because they didn't draw into what they needed for the Bahamut combo, I'd assume, for turn 5. That, or they were worried about the threat of damage. So I needed to find a way to deal with this in an effective way. Luckily, just ramming that was not a bad option. And then just wanted that to proc next turn, just in case. Fortunately, we've got some okay options from here. The hair is an amazing card, especially when you want to get rid of stuff. Instead of directing this Tin Soldier to face, getting rid of this 2-3 was more important to me. Plus, our Snow White just comes back. So that wasn't a big worry. And we really want to get in the damage and board presence before their drop. We are saving Tribunal for those drops of Abyss, but that may not be enough. So we do just hit them in the face, getting rid of their block, while also taking that out. So we do know that Abyss is going to drop next turn, regardless. So we do just heal up a little bit, ping our damage in, get what we can while we can. Instead they do Revelations, I suppose because they were scared of dying. But Abyss is definitely in hand. That Baphomet pretty much secures that is in their hand. Now I wrestled with debating on to go with the Gruder or to go with the Tin Soldier, and then decided to go with the Gruder there on the draw, just in case. I didn't want to take too big a risk of over-committing to this board. And this they do just ram. They decided to use it that way. I suppose because playing against Haven you soon learn that you're going to get tribunaled, so going for the 16 isn't always the best idea. And fortunately, since they did do that, this Tin Soldier trades quite nicely, so I don't have to waste the Tribunal here, if I didn't want to. But I decided to anyway, just for the fact that Tin Soldier can easily hit them in the face. So the biggest risk for this play was the fact that if they cleared it, it was going to be really hard for me to climb back up. But fortunately, they didn't have anything. So that will round out this video. We've got, you know, all the cards here. If you want to build the deck, as always, deck list in the description below, along with any other important links. The Snow Whites are critical to the decks, not quite as much as my previous one, but definitely pretty key against Blood matchup, which is going to be your most common, so I wouldn't try to change too much when it comes to that. Keep the Legends, maybe swap out some of the Amulets, other cards in the middle here. Focus on those cheap cards instead of trying to change what is more expensive in this case, just because Haven doesn't like playing nice with substitutes for legendaries in a lot of cases. Outside of maybe Janine and Valhalla General, they fit pretty nicely in a group. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to smack that like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.